Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the latest in Gates's range of webinars on various subjects. This webinar is Evolve with Gates, showing you how to convert various drive types to belt drives and the way in which to do it and the efficiencies and improvements that you can get. This webinar is being recorded and it will be available for showing at a later date if you are unable to watch it live. My name is David Clark. I'm the Application Engineering Manager for Gates Industrial Europe, responsible for belt and fluid power applications. I will be joined by my colleague, Heinz Watzinger, during this webinar, and Heinz can introduce himself just now.
Yeah, my name is Heinz Watzinger. I work with Gates since about almost 30 years, and I'm the product line manager for TPU product in the Gates organization. Welcome to the webinar.
Thank you, Heinz. We'll also be assisted by Frederick Shellstrata, who will take care of the question and answer sessions. If you have any questions, feel free to type them into the Q&A box during the webinar, and Frederick will do his best to answer. There will also be a little bit of time at the end to do some question and answer back and forward, and anything we can't answer during the webinar, we will of course do our best to answer at a later date. If you could restrict your questions in the Q&A box to those regarding the webinar, we're not able to really help you with your technical questions regarding the setup of your device with this. You can try the chat for that, but the Q&A, please restrict it to questions regarding the webinar and the content itself. Evolve with Gates. The world is changing. So we need to change too. Gates recognise that as a company, as I think everybody does. So there are increased demands for efficiency, CO2 legislation, there are rising costs for energy, and these require sustainable solutions to keep operations optimised, productive and profitable. Evolving over a century, we are constantly pushing the boundaries of material science and pioneering innovation that we will power for the next 100 years. In Gates, our complete system solutions for belts and sprockets for chain-to-belt conversion, not only chain-to-belt, but I think as we go through it, we'll see it's a wider ranging set of solutions, and it continues to harness this in a new way of thinking. We like to deliver a diversified portfolio of products that are lighter, longer lasting, and more environmentally friendly, both in the materials used to manufacture them and in the way that they can be used. So we provide value-based services, ensuring your applications operate with reliability, efficiency, and safety. There are increasing demands within the world, things we recognise within Gates, again, as I think everybody does. There is a rising demand for automation. Labour shortages are causing that rise. Also, it is, in many cases, a solution which is lower cost. In many industries, there are tight cost pressures for everybody. So the need for reliable, efficient, and higher performing power automation is increasing, and that's across the board. I think there's no company out there who isn't coming under these pressures. They're global pressures, they're not only local pressures. And our solutions are trying to mitigate and optimize solutions to overcome and minimize the effect of things like labour shortages and increased automation. There's a growing energy crisis. I think everybody again is aware of that. Increasing energy demands across all sectors are impacting industry, and the increased cost of this energy is also significantly impacting industry. And again, we're looking at solutions that can try and mitigate some of these increases. The manufacturers require solutions that minimize energy resources and maximize production output. There have been advancements in materials. Manufacturers are constantly seeking opportunities for improvements in belt performance, and Gates are constantly working to optimize our belts. Weight reduction, energy saving, cleaner solutions are being sought to meet the required industry specifications and regulations. And it's one of the cores of Gates is leveraging our deep understanding of the science and technology behind belt drives to give improved solutions. We're looking to reduce the environmental impact of the belts which we provide, or even the systems which we provide. For example, in modular plastic belting, it can often require that it's removed from a drive and cleaned with a detergent. Gates TPU Synchro clean belts can be pressure washed on the drive when in place. So it minimizes detergent, minimizes use of water, and minimizes the time and labor in which to clean the belt. And it's these types of solutions which Gates feel are those that can help our customers going forward. What is the background of chain to belt? Really, it's evolved with Gates is converting not only chains, but alternative power transmission technologies to belt drives. And there's no getting away from it. Roller chain is at the front of that, but there are other solutions which can be replaced by a belt drive, giving you advantages. And these are gearboxes, cables, direct drive, engineered chain, in some cases V-belt drives, where you're looking for an increase in efficiency going from a V-belt to a synchronous belt. And other solutions include things like TPU belts and conveyor belting in the TPU and food handling businesses. Gates see the business in a number of channels. Going from left to right here, we can start with industrial drives. So these are stationary drives at places of work. Basically, machineries within a factory application is a good example. Mobile drives are those on agricultural and construction industry. You can see there a combine harvester with many drives within it, but it's a very large and still growing segment, and it's one which I think has a lot of opportunities for the evolve to the Gates solution or a chain to belt solution. Personal mobility is another. That's where you have small vehicles such as motorcycles, scooters, bicycles is a large one, ATVs, and light electric vehicles. And vertical lifting. Intralogistics and warehousing is a growing sector at the moment, and high level pick and place type warehousing uses a lot of solutions that require the raising and lowering of platforms, and they are an ideal candidate for either a Gates rubber, polychain, or TPU belt as a replacement for alternative solutions. A little bit about the background. Belts have a very good and wide-ranging performance window. So that means they can be used to replace alternative solutions in nearly every application and in almost every industry. And that's why we're calling it Evolve with Gates. You can evolve your current solutions to improve through time to increase efficiency. Belts are inherently efficient. We're mainly talking synchronous belts here because those are the ones which are most likely to replace alternative solutions. You can get a high efficiency drive, and one of the big advantages of belts is that efficiency is steady throughout its life. So the efficiency you have at the beginning of a drive, which could be in the high 90s on a well-designed drive, will be consistent throughout its lifetime with either minimal or no intervention to keep it so. Belts are zero maintenance, so you do not have to directly lubricate the belt, and it should not corrode over time. So that means that it is a good solution to, again, minimize maintenance, minimize waste, and an environmentally friendly solution. Many of our belts, for example, the Volt, Polychain Volt, our highest rated standard synchronous belt, is ATEX approved on those drives on which belts can be fitted, and it meets the requirements of ISO 9563, the standard for static conductivity. So belts are a well-rounded solution, and in this case we're talking mainly synchronous belts to give you increased efficiency, lower maintenance, and longer lifetime. Belt drives are inherently good at a steady performance over a long period of time. The main competitor for belt drives in these solutions, we do, as I say, Evolve for Gates covers a wide range of solutions against a wide range of alternative products. As we say, gearboxes, ropes, but it is clear that the most prevalent one in the marketplace is roller chain. And they have a number of advantages. They've been around a long time. They're readily available. It's one of the, I would say, the most available products in the marketplace. They are versatile. You can change the length, you can add attachment, you can splice them together. They are relatively efficient when new and when maintained. They have the opportunity to run on serpentine drives. You can run counter-rotating drives, and you can run drives with multiple shafts with chains. They can accommodate fixed centers. They're relatively low cost, and they are breakable. You can take them apart and rejoin them. So there are a number of advantages with chains, but there, in our opinion, are a number of disadvantages which make them less than ideal and give a belt drive, a synchronous belt drive mainly, a good return on investment when you are looking to replace a chain drive. The disadvantages are that the lifetime compared to a belt drive is limited. It is a wear product. You do have, in many cases, metal against metal, so you can have wear, and this can also give you a relatively high noise level. There are requirements, more stringent requirement these days for in-factory noise levels, and these, I think, as time goes on, will become more and more stringent. On many chains, lubrication is required. There are chains, I think, which have lubrication solutions built in. But again, as you tend to get more and more technology within the chain, your cost is going up. And the vast majority of standard chains still need lubrication, and that can attract dirt and accumulate dirt and environmental contamination, and while giving you an increased lifetime it will still have a detrimental effect. Because of that, there's a high cost of ownership. There is the lubrication, maintenance. You need to, if you do lubricate it, you need to clean it, you need to dispose of any lubricants at the end of it. So there are a number of factors that cause them to be a high cost of ownership. They're prone to noise and vibration. Again, you have metal-to-metal contact in many cases. And even with lubrication, you do still get a higher noise level than a belt drive. There are speed limitations. Again, chains are relatively good at lower speed, but as you increase in speed, all of the disadvantages, I think, become more prevalent. Again, there are maybe some specialized chains out there which are more suited to higher speeds, but in the vast majority of drives, I think you'll find that a synchronous belt is more suited. And there are limited things such as you can get multi-strand chains, they're quite common, but the increase in capacity you get per strand is not necessarily in line with the number of strands. So for 2 strands, you can get something like 1.7 times the capacity. And last but not least is that chains stretch. It's one of the most common reasons for chain replacement. Looking at a synchronous belt drive, many advantages. They're maintenance free, so you don't need to retension them over their lifetime, and you shouldn't need to lubricate the belt directly either. That gives you a low cost of ownership. You don't need to spend time and money lubricating or maintaining the drives. There's a high power density. We have some very power dense belts, such as the Polychain Carbon Volt. They are 98% efficient. If you have a well-designed drive, you can get 98% efficiency, and that efficiency should be consistent throughout the lifetime of the drive, which, comparing it to a comparable roller chain, should be about 3 times as much. Belts are widely available. Gates, as a company, have locations and manufacturing sites worldwide, and we have a huge array of distribution partners who are knowledgeable and who can supply a very wide range of Gates products. Gates belts are accurate positioning. Synchronous belt teeth mesh closely with pulley grooves, and that allows you to minimize backlash and increase the accuracy of your positioning. They are low vibration. Again, you have a highly engineered pulley or sprocket, and the belt tooth that meshes with that sprocket groove is meshing with a rolling action to minimize vibration as it enters and exits the pulley groove. And if you compare a belt to a roller chain, you'll find that a belt is generally quieter than a chain at any speed. It's not all advantages for belt drives, of course, or for belts. Belts, by the nature of the way they're manufactured, and this is mainly endless synchronous belts we're talking about, in that they are restricted to discrete lengths. So if you have, for example, a 100-tooth belt, it's a 100-tooth belt. And if you want or need a 100-tooth belt length, a new tool is required for that belt length. You, in most cases, can't open up those belts and join them, for example, for most synchronous rubber belts. The TPU Flex belts are available in lengths between 1.5 and 22 meters, and they're available in any length of teeth because of the manufacturing method used, and they can accommodate any number of teeth between that length. TPU belts also have the advantage of being able to be welded together, and that gives you a mechanically spliced joint of any length, but you do lose 50% of your tensile strength, but it does have at least some advantage that you can give any belt length. There are also Gates polychain extended length belts, which again are for large high power drives and long lengths. They are available in various lengths, but for the most part, for a synchronous belt, you need to have a discrete belt length. I will have a look now at various applications, just to give you an idea of the flavor of what you can do with a belt drive. Looking at some of our main belt types, Polychain GT Carbon Volt and Powergrip GT4. These are two of our highest powered belts in the Polychain range and in the rubber belt range. Polychain are a belt made with a thermoset polyurethane, and Powergrip GT4 is an ethylene elastomer-based rubber belt. What applications can these belts be used on? Well, pretty much any application out there. Static and movable machines, high performance machines. They can be used on conveyors. They can be used on drives with where high speeds are required. In many cases, if you're using standard pulleys, these are quite often relatively low quality steel or cast iron. They have a maximum speed of 33 meters per second. That's not a restriction on the belts, and our belts can run at speeds higher than that. But in order to do so, you tend to need non-standard pulleys with dynamic balancing. So belts can run at speeds greater than that. It's just that you need to make sure that the hardware is also suitable. Polychain Carbon Volt is available in 8 and 14 millimeter pitches as standard, as is Powergrip GT4. It should also be noted that both of these belts, like many of Gates' Synchronous belts, are suitable for general use and in those environments where ATEX is a requirement and allows the use of belt drives. Another belt type is Gates Mini Polychain GT Carbon. Again, this is a thermoset polyurethane belt with carbon cord. And these are made in relatively small lengths, specifically to replace the chains on a fixed center conveyor system. So they can be used on roller conveyors, compact chains, and fixed center drives. They're quite often overlooked, but if you look into them in more detail, you'll find that they are a very compact and efficient solution, again, not requiring any maintenance or lubrication for conveyor drives. These belts are generally available for Polychain GT Carbon in 8 millimeter pitch. And again, you can also use Powergrip GT4 in similar situations. These are shorter belts, ranging from, say, about 240 to 640 millimeters, but they can be used on various applications, but very much good for replacing alternative solutions on conveyors. Polychain GT Carbon Extended Length, I mentioned it earlier. It's used where we spirally splice a standard polychain belt in order to give us a longer length belt for fitting on very large drives. These are used for chain replacement, short load drives, for example, wood, pulp and paper, but they're suitable for any high capacity drives that needs a belt with which a rather large footprint or a rather long length. And as you can see here, they're available in 40 millimeter pitch in the extended length up to 20 meters long. So they're great for long center distance units with high load capacity. It's their it's definitely a good solution for those types of drives. Long lengths is another type of belt that Gates have. We have various types of long length belts. We have long length spiral cut. We have long length straight cut. We have long length open-ended belts, TPU. There's a wide range of belts which can cover a lot of situations: linear actuators, sliding doors, automated warehouses, XY positioning, 3D printers, lifting applications. A huge number and a huge variety of applications where long length belts can be used, and we have a wide range of belts which can cover the vast majority of these types of applications. As I say, our long length range is extensive. In Polychain GT, for example, and in our rubber, our main drives for heavy duty industrial use are 8mm and 14mm pitch. But we also have, in the rubber side of things, 2, 3, and 5mm pitch long length belts for use on smaller applications. We also have a very wide range of open-ended long length belts in our TPU portfolio, which we will come to in just a minute or two. Another belt type, again, one which is good for specific applications, is twin power. This is where the belts that have teeth on both sides, again, synchronous belts with teeth on both sides, can be used for many and wide-ranging applications where counter-rotating shafts are required. An example of these are roller mills, office equipment, cash dispensers, lawnmowers, where you have the blades running in opposite directions in order to collect the grass in one neat row. Things like ski lifts also have counter-rotating drives as they grip in between them. So there's a lot of applications out there where counter-rotating drives are required, and twin power can be an ideal solution. It has all the advantages of the other belt types, but gives you the opportunity for counter-rotation. Twin power is available in a range. Again, it's been around for a long time, but Powergrip HTD and Powergrip GT2 are available as standard in 8 and 14mm pitch. But again, you can also have it in 3 and 5mm pitch, depending on the application.
Yeah, I guess that's my part now. The Synchro Power is a product line that falls under the TPU product line. And Synchro Power belt are thermoplastic polyurethane belts coming in open end, means in open rolls up to 100 meters, or also in truly endless in a length range from 120 millimeters to 22.9 meters. The material is very flexible to customize. It is used in a lot of different applications. The major applications are precise linear movement, whether it's horizontal or vertical, like automatic warehouses, linear actuators, XYZ positioning, lifting applications, and so on. Also synchronous conveying, like material handling, packaging, hygienic industry, and transportation and food processing, and live roller conveyors. It's also applications that require clean operations and requiring customized belts, so for specific custom solutions. Back to you, David.
Yep. Thank you very much, Heinz. So there is that's a summary of a wide range of belts available. It's not an exhaustive range. We have more products out there, but these are the ones which I think are the most suitable for the evolve strategy, where we're trying to replace alternative solutions and give advantages against those solutions, such as roller chain, gearboxes, etc. Many of you may not be familiar with the makeup of a belt and what the differences are between various belt types. Now, we've talked about a range of belts here. We've talked about rubber belts, polychain belts with thermoset polyurethane, TPU belts with thermoplastic polyurethane. So we'll give a little bit of an overview of how those belts are made up and what advantages you may get from the different belt types. Just a general overview of pretty much all synchronous belts. They have three main components. They have a tension member that gives it its tensile strength, and these can be, depending on the belt type, glass fiber, carbon fiber, aramid fiber, steel. There's a wide range of materials for various belt capacities and capabilities. They also come, as we've discussed, with a body made of either rubber, polyurethane, or thermoplastic polyurethane. And the wear surface of the belt, which is the surface on the tooth profile, is generally a nylon jacket with various low friction or adhesing improvement capabilities built within it. Looking more specifically at our next generation synchronous rubber belt, that's Powergrip GT4. It's got class-leading power capacity. This belt was developed, all the materials for it were developed from scratch for this belt, and it includes fundamentally one of the main new components within Gates belts, I think, that we will be expanding going forward in our rubber belt solutions, and that it has a next generation EPDM compound. It has a wider temperature range and a great power capacity. Temperature range -40 to +120, but you can even take it up to 140 for intermittent times. One of the main drivers behind the development of the EE compound for our newer range of belts, though, is it is environmentally friendly. EE fundamentally does not contain chlorinated compounds. The vast majority of the belts, let's say the rubber belts that have been made for the last 50 or 60 years, have been based on chlorinated rubber compounds. And as we know, these things are not the most environmentally friendly products. So we are looking to eliminate these from our belt designs going forward, trying to make our belts more sustainable. The materials have a good resistance to oil and grease. You can't run them submerged in oil or grease. That's pretty clear. It doesn't do the belt any good to do that. But if you get splashes or drips of oil or grease on the belt, you shouldn't compromise the performance. Bearing in mind that belts are lubrication-free, so any of these things would come from the lubrication of third-party equipment. The GT4 range of belts, 8 and 40mm pitch, are also static conductive to ISO 9563, and as such can be used in those ATEX environments where it's suitable. So you have a rubber belt with an EE rubber compound, a glass fiber tension member, and an impregnated nylon wear surface on the teeth. Looking at our next belt is Polychain Carbon Volt. This is our highest capacity standard belt. It's based on thermoset polyurethane. Thermoplastic's the next slide. And it is extremely high capacity. As standard, it comes with a carbon fiber tension member and a nylon tooth surface. This belt's approximately 400% higher capacity than HTD belts, and again has an efficiency in the high 90s, with 99% being achievable on a well-designed drive. It has all the advantages in that high capacity, reduced maintenance. It's a very resistant belt. The thermoset polyurethane is resistant to most acids, chemicals, and water. Of course, I will caveat this by saying dilute acids. We've run this drive submerged in oil. We've run it submerged in water, and it has extremely good resistance to both and very good lifetime when running in very contaminated environments. The characteristics of the polyurethane is such that it can operate in temperatures from -54 to +85 degrees C. So you've got very good low temperature resistance and good high temperature resistance also. It's static conductive to ISO 9563. So again, it has the capability to be run in ATEX environments. As with all the belts, 3 materials, a thermoset polyurethane, mainly a carbon fiber tension member, and a nylon jacket facing fabric. Next is the Synchro Power Belt, which I will leave Heinz to describe in more detail.
Thanks, David. Well, Synchro Power belt are made of an abrasion-resistant thermoplastic polyurethane with reinforcements that makes the Synchro Power belt the perfect solution for many applications. The abrasion-resistant thermoplastic polyurethane body, usually on standard drives or standard conveyors, does not require the polyamide fabric on the tooth side, but it's still available optional when you have to reduce the friction or increase the abrasion resistance of the tooth and or of the backside. The versions of products are available also with optional fabric on both sides. The product range starts from open-ended linear belt, from flat belt and wide belt to truly endless belt like the Synchro Power Flex and the Synchro Power Sleeve belt. And finally, the Synchro Clean belt is our food conveyor belt line. Designed for direct food contact. Hundreds of combination of polyurethane grades and cords offer a perfect solution for almost all requirements. If the belt have to work in highly corrosive environment or in low temperature environment down to -30 degrees C, or with direct food contact, we have the right solution. Nearly every extruded belt type can be additionally customized by special machining or the addition of various coatings or profiles.
We've told you a little bit about the products, but we haven't told you so much about the process for changing from one of the other drive types to a belt drive. Gates does our best to supply the tools and support that you need to change. And we have a number of different items out there which we think can help you. We have a suite of drive design software, DesignFlex Pro and Design IQ are now held in our overarching Design Power software. It's been newly updated and released in Europe at the beginning of the year, released in North America last spring, and it gives you the capability to design both two-pulley drives using standard products and multi-pulley drives and counter-rotating drives, also with the Design IQ software. In order to try and assess what advantages you may have, we have an energy saving calculator on our website that looks at the savings you may get from converting a V-belt drive to a synchronous belt drive. Synchronous drives are inherently more energy efficient or more efficient than V-belt drives, so there are energy savings to be had by converting drives, especially when a drive's running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, such as an air handling unit. There are a lot of advantages in moving to a more energy efficient drive, and you can calculate those savings both on the energy saved from the drive itself, but also from maintenance with the calculator on the Gates website. There are other calculators as well, such as the water-saving calculator for TPU belts, where you can calculate the money you might save from using a belt which can be used and cleaned on the drive as opposed to the older style belts or older style solutions. So there are various tools within our website. We also have the area which is close to my heart, the applications engineering team. We have a team of application engineers throughout Europe who are happy to assist with drive conversions, including things like site surveys, drive designs, and general technical support. So we are happy to offer that to our customers. Looking at a little bit more detail at the tools, Design Power, as I said, it's our newly launched user interface for our design tools. It's, in our opinion, a much more modern solution. Our older interface has been around for quite a few years. So we've now improved it, improved the ratings of some of our products within the software. And we think it makes a more user-friendly solution to doing drive designs. As I say, using the DesignFlex Pro system to do two-pulley drives, mainly with standard products, or the Design IQ solution to design drives for multi-pulleys and counter-rotating shafts. You can print the output, you can email it, you can save it. So you can do a drive design and have it at your fingertips. I'll run through a few application examples here just to give you an idea of the types of things you can do with belt drives. I hope they're pretty straightforward and give you an idea, just an overview of what is possible and what we can do out there. I think it's really restricted, I think, by the imagination and the application of some of the advantages. As I say, you can do energy saving. I think there's even some governments who now offer incentives and payments to help mitigate the costs of converting from an older drive like a V-belt to a synchronous belt. And there's more and more of these types of examples where people are, or organizations are incentivizing the use of more efficient drive solutions. But here's a range of them. This is a very nice one. Gates have launched a belt drive for bicycles, and it's a really good example of how you can take and replace a chain and no longer need to lubricate that chain. So for example, that drive there, based on a poly chain belt, can be run without lubrication. You can wash it, you can pressure wash it, you can run it and use standard bicycle cleaning solutions, for example. And that gives huge advantages for those who want to have a clean, low-maintenance drive on their bicycle. But it's not just restricted to bicycles. You can do that with any chain drive, pretty much. Here's another application example. A really dirty chain drive on the left-hand side here on a conveyor. A lot of oil, a lot of grease, and a lot of contamination from the process sticking to the oil and grease, vastly increasing the wear rate and reducing the lifetime of this drive. If you look at the right-hand side, what you may not have spotted is that there is a belt drive in there as well. The belt drive is being tested to make sure it can meet the requirements of the application. But when it does replace the chain drive, it will eliminate all of this need for lubrication, the dirty oil, the cleaning, the cost of oil, the cost of maintenance, and you can replace it with a clean, low-maintenance belt drive. But what it does do is it shows the capability of the belt drive to run in these types of environments if necessary. But in this case, you can eliminate that. There's some very large 20, what's this, a 200/3 chain there, huge chain drives out there. This is an example where one was replaced by a belt drive, a polychain belt drive with extended length, I think. And you can see that if you look in the background of the left-hand picture, this drive is at height, and all of the components have to be transported up to this height. So, and also when you maintain this drive, you have to get someone up to this drive to maintain it. So one of the advantages of changing to a belt drive is the belt itself is significantly lighter than the chain, zero maintenance, so you eliminate all the requirements for that high maintenance work going up and down to that platform. Here's another example of a roller conveyor. This is a fixed center drive with a polychain belt, so you don't need to lubricate the drive and you don't need to maintain the drive. This is an example of a twin power drive. Here's a chain drive on the left-hand side and the replacing 14mm pitch twin power belt drive on the right, giving you counter-rotating shafts. Here's one replacing a gear set. You have the two gears on the left-hand side, giving you counter-rotation, and on the right, you have a replacement belt drive. One point to note is that on a belt drive, unlike a gear drive, you can't replace two gears with a single belt drive with two pulleys. You have to have three pulleys in order to apply tension to the belt drive and allow you to replace the gear set. But it is a more efficient, quieter, low noise, low maintenance solution. And that's why it's one that, in this case, was used to replace the existing gear drive. Here's some examples of long length drives. On the left-hand side, you've got a small linear drive, a linear slide. In the middle, you have a high-level warehouse using a long length belt to raise and lower a platform or a pick-and-place system within this warehouse. And on the right, you have what's really a much bigger version of what you have on the left-hand side there. It's a horizontal drive. You can see the belt drive there and up through the middle that is moving a platform or a positioning system horizontally back and forward. So belt drives can be used in many cases like this. Again, low maintenance and zero lubrication. And there's a wide range of belts for many different applications, from 14mm pitch down to 3 or 5mm pitch on the smaller versions. Next, we'll hand it back to Heinz to talk a bit more about the application examples for TPU belts.
Thanks, David. The TPU belt, Synchro Power Belt, can replace, for example, attachment change in indexing applications, the clean and quiet operation in transportation applications requiring indexing. It can replace plastic modular chain in food processing applications, as David already mentioned. Minus 42% less surface to clean compared to a plastic modular chain. 35% less cleaning water and over 50% less cleaning labor. That is saving cost and protecting the environment. And another one is in vertical lifting applications. Gates Synchro Power Belt can replace steel cable. Our belt offers 3 to 5 times longer lifetime versus steel cables, because the steel cord are protected by the tough polyurethane body, whereas the steel cable is directly engaged with the steel pulley. It's also maintenance free. Going to the next page, we will see some additional applications. David, if you could switch over. the linear belt is the open-ended belt are manufactured in standard roll length in different pitches, constructions, and tooth shapes. In the industries, we see linear belt in intralogistics, which is an expanding market. We have various products for different applications within automatic warehouses, such as E-belt for shuttles, high-performance steel reinforced belt for ASRS systems and stacker cranes. In vertical lifting application, our belt can work with significantly smaller pulley diameters versus steel cable, which reduce the cost and the weight of the drive system. So it's lighter weight and more efficient and saves energy as a result. And automation is another wide field of applications, and the XYZ linear motion systems are a perfect application for Synchro power belt. Next page, David. The flat belt, Synchro power flat belt, are mostly used in lifting applications, also flat belt equipped with strong reinforcement of various steel and aramid constructions, and they work in pulling or lifting applications. Home lift, passenger lifts, intralogistics, stacker cranes, where our belt will lift weights up to 2,500 kilograms, and nowadays even more than that. And material lifts like scissor tables require high precision also in thickness to ensure an even load distribution to parallel belts in upwinding applications. Next page, please. And then we have the Synchro Clean product range. That offers a solution for many food processing applications. It's designed for direct food contact, and the PosiClean PC10 and PC20 are designed for synchronized conveying. The full width drive tooth distributes torque evenly over the entire belt width. The flat clean FC9, FC12 combine non-fraying urethane jacket and sealed tension members to eliminate edge fray, minimize stretch, and extends the belt life. And Center Clean belt is a self-tracking synchronous belt, well fit for troughing applications. All belt can be offered in metal detectable versions and with various surface structures. Thanks, David.
Yeah, thank you very much, Heinz. I hope you've gained a flavour from the belts there. That was our range of Gates belts and what we think solutions across all of Gates's rubber and TPU solutions and polyurethane thermoset. We think that you should be able to find a solution to replace one of those alternative drives. We would like to think that you can evolve your drive, you can move your drive from an older style to a newer style, improving efficiency, improving the noise characteristics of the drive, minimizing your environmental impact, both with the type of belt you purchase, made with the latest technology materials, and materials which are moving more and more to environmentally friendly solutions, lower cost, and lower environmental impact over time, I think are things which many customers are understanding are the way forward, and they're being driven more and more by end users and the marketplace to try and incorporate these types of solutions into their businesses. And we like to think that Gates are helping do so with our range of solutions. So I hope you've found this useful. And if anyone has any questions, please feel free to stick them in the chat box and we will do our best to answer them. For those I've said who have colleagues who haven't been able to attend, this webinar will be available. It's been recorded and will be available online in the near future. So please feel free to ask your questions for the next few minutes and we will do our best to answer them. So thank you very much for attending.